Hello and welcome back to the channel, and thank you for joining me in another of my monologues. Today I'm asking quite a deep question. Being not very well at the moment with this strange muscle contraction issue that I've found myself enjoying, let's say, and the excruciating amounts of pain that at certain times of the day, particularly first thing in the morning and in the middle of the night, just moving a limb can create. It brings you to question a number of things about not only yourself, but those things that perhaps you've taken for granted or that we've been told about many times. And so I'm asking, where is God? Where is God? Now, I know legally God is somewhere out there and the Bible is his book of words, and the government accept the Bible as the book of rules. They say it's the infallible truth. We know that from I think it's the 1510 ratification of Faith Act, which is still on the statute books, which proves that the government really can only get their power and agreement from God, whatever God is. We'll talk about that in a minute. And so they obviously see God as an outside source and the Bible as the book of law, and so they have to adhere to that, which is useful for you and I, especially if you've been listening to people like Clive Edwards, who's worked out the fact that there are these two jurisdictions. There's the man-made jurisdiction of the UK legislation, and of course the God jurisdiction of the free man who is under the creator, whatever that creator is. Now, I want to ask, where is God? Where actually is he or she or it or whatever it might be? And when I use the word God, I'm also referring to the myriad of different terms that people give this strange force, if you like, or power, or understanding, or life, whatever it is, such as the creator, the universe, the source, whatever it might be. We'll come back to that, and just hold that thought, because I want to thank Barry and Teresa, who very kindly sent me a little letter with two books. One is something called The Soul's Journey, The Master Path, The Light and Sound Teachings by Sri, I don't know how you pronounce that, S-R-I, Sri, is it Sri? Gary Olson. Interesting, I shall have a look at that. And Teresa's book called Guardians of the Way, The Continuity of the Divine Science of Light and Sound Teachers Through the Ages. It sounds, I guess, a little bit woo-woo, but who knows what's true and what isn't. So thank you so much to a pair of you. The letter says, after watching recently your YouTube on Ask Them to Prove Who You Are, we thought you might find the book Soul's Journey interesting. We have also included Teresa's copy. So thank you so much for that. I will enjoy that. The Soul's Divine Journey. So I want to talk about this just very briefly, because this won't be a deep philosophical conversation. I'm probably not qualified to do any of that anyway. And I'm actually in a bit of pain and discomfort. And slowly getting better, mind you, by the way. Slowly better. But and can I just say also, in this rambling video that it's now turning into, thank you to all the various people with lots of advice, and people saying go and get a chiropractor, or go and see someone with the big knitting needles they shove into you, or the Reiki, or and the people who've been in touch and saying I can do some remote healing and all of that. I appreciate there's just so many people who came forward. It's very difficult, A, to get back to all of you, and B, to accept all of this, because I don't want to confuse with what I'm going to do to get myself back to normal. I have consulted a few people, but in the dead of night, or in the moments of pain, and I have been in these situations before, once with my eye, when my eye was falling out and was being eaten by a bug, and I had 3 cornea transplants and then the removal of the eye, and I was on steroids and I was in sheer agony, and then I had I forget what it's called, something of the white of the eye on top of that, and I was suicidal at that time. It tests you, and now I know that a lot of people have been tested in many different ways and are currently being tested, and so I sympathise with people. They come forward often to me and say, I'm about to be evicted from my house, or my children are about to be snatched from me, or they're after my car, or I'm in a house full of mould and I don't know what to do, how to get out of it. And people write, and I'm not qualified to answer these questions, but we get tested, don't we? And then, whether you're religious or not religious, at some point you sort of, now you may not, but many people do, and I have myself, you go, well, where is God in all of this? We're taught that this benevolent spirit, or this benevolent Lord, God, the source of everything, is there to look to us, and all we have to do is open our heart and let him in, and things will be right. Well, I can tell you at the most awful time, whenever it was, over 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when my eye was really at its worst and I was in such excruciating pain, couldn't do anything. For 4 years the curtains had to be drawn, and I was trying to bring up the children on my own at that time, and there was this one day where I was so low, I was happy to take a bottle of whiskey and walk along the train tracks and see what happened, because I just could not go, and I couldn't see that this pain and this condition would ever disappear. And I remember I was on the floor and I reached up, and I thought, they say reach for God and God will come. And I reached up and I said, whatever I said, I can't remember exactly, but it would be somewhere along the lines of, I may have ignored you before, but now I'm in all this pain and what have you, and if you can help me, show me a sign, or if I can do something, whatever it was, I can't really remember, but I was genuine. It was a genuine turning to this external force and saying, please, I'm yours, I'll do whatever you want, help me. Well, nothing happened. Nothing. No sign, no spiritual voice, no big hand coming down, get up, Richard, no divine light, no spiritual presence, no warmth, nothing. And at that time, I thought to myself, you know what? We are completely alone and on our own. That at the one time when I needed God, he forsook me. I was forsaken. I don't know what the word is. And I realised then that I had to do this myself. And I did. I pulled my socks up. I realised I couldn't kill myself because the children relied on me. And that whatever happened, I was on my own in this grim, cruel world with this eye condition that had me in... I cannot tell you the pain. More pain than I'm currently in, where all my muscles at the moment are so tight and stressed that I'm moving around like some zombie. But anyway, this will pass. The thing is, the lesson I learnt then is this will pass. But the question I want to ask is, where is God then? I mean, some people say, well, he doesn't exist, does he? Obviously, clearly, he did not exist. Or was that the message, that actually he wasn't there to just come down and go, there you are fixed. But that you have to realize that actually you are the only being here. That stayed with me for a long, long time. And of course, now I realize, you develop and your ideas change. And I think to myself, well, this God, whatever it is, this source of everything, the source that created the world, that created the landmass we call Britain, not the United Kingdom, which is a political construct and doesn't exist, just as the UK legislation is political. It's just a mind game. That's just rules that somebody else made, not for real people. That the whatever it is that created this world and this landmass, whatever that is, I've realised is not, for me anyway, it's not an external source. It's in. It's in. And this is why you read books on the yogis and yogi practice, and they all talk about turning inward, and they talk about the higher self, or the subconscious mind, or they talk about these other things. To me, I think that God is not that external source that you go searching out here in this illusionary world, this 3D illusionary world. I don't think this is a real world at all. And actually, the big reality is that when you sit and think and you meditate and you come to the conclusion that you are all there is nothing else, that you're in the moment now. There is no other moment than now. Now just goes on and on and on. We think of it in some form of fake time, that there's a future that comes and a past that's been, but they are just concepts, because there is only now. And then as you get into this deep trance or thinking or meditation, cogitation, or sitting there puffing your pipe, you start to realize, actually, I am all there is. And this awareness, this consciousness, is all there is. And so this may sound very strange or very different, and there'll be a lot of people who go, no, God's up there, he's a bearded bloke, sits in a cloud, peers down, sends thunderbolts and all this kind of stuff, and plagues and floods and all this sort of crap. Or other people will say, no, the human race was made by the Anunnaki or some other, they'll say, oh, here's some proof around all this. I think all that's rubbish. I think that's absolutely rubbish. When you sit and you become aware of what you are, who you are, what the real you, and you take away your thoughts, you take away your body, you take away your what you can see, the perception, everything, and you get deep into this thoughts, as one does when you can't do very much, and I haven't been able to do very much. You suddenly realise that actually you are all there is. So it seems that we are all connected, and that we are the one thing. We are all life. And that the power, if there is any power, is in us. It is us that is the God that has the power. Only we've been taught and we've been brainwashed that that's not us. That the power is external, and we're looking for these gods or these other powers or these things outside of us. I don't think that's true at all. I think that actually the power is heavily within, and once you realise that, you have huge control over not only your future but your ability to create, manifest your happiness and your physical ability to continue in this strange realm. Now you might think, Vobes, you're a bit delirious, you're not very well, you've been thinking too much, you're a bit over the thing, and maybe that's true. It's a lovely day, I am very frustrated, I'd like to be on the land doing stuff, but at the moment my limbs cannot lift anything. So there's a lot of thinking time, and I'm very grateful for the thinking time. I thank you for watching. Probably none of this made any sense. Probably this has been a strange thing to do, but I felt it was important to communicate that with you, and I look forward to chatting to you soon. Thank you for watching.